The impact of technology on the way we work and the way we learn has been profound over the last 10 years and is now starting to accelerate. It brings into self-focus the way we're going to learn and work in the future, and for that we need to start redefining the very essence of what we're doing. The job is no longer what it's all about. More and more it's becoming about your role and your contribution in problem solving. I think the challenge we have is that the learning process up to now is pretty linear, and technology is advancing at an exponential rate, and that makes it very difficult for humans to keep up. The only way we're going to address that is to actually become more human. The industrial economy has largely dehumanized the job process and has turned a lot of people into robots. We have to bring our humanness back into play, because our innate and developed capabilities is what's going to drive the model forward, not just the skills that we've learned to do a specific outcome on a specific task. The whole industrial economy was built on the fact that we do things more efficiently and more effectively and quicker and faster and better. That led to this whole process of productivity became the mainstay of the economy, and what we were doing is to say the more standardized the task is, the more specified the task is, and the more integrated all the tasks are, the better the outcome will be. That also happens to be the definition of a software algorithm, and therefore the task as it stands today lends itself very well to full-blown automation. The problems that we are starting to solve now is both ambiguous, uncertain. They are volatile, the environments that we live in and stuff like that. So we require all the capabilities of humanness to actually solve those problems. So we can actually take the task and automate it, and then make humans do what they're really good at. Work with each other to actually solve the intractable problems that we face at the moment. We're putting immense effort into getting more productivity out of our people. And as the thing is, what we've done is we've dehumanized the people to a point where we're seeing them as tasks, they're doing tasks. And how do we make them more productive? And the returns that we're getting out of that process is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. What technology now enables us to do is to get back onto a increasing return process, because we can do so much more with technology. And I think the issue that we have is that technology is not the constraint anymore. It's our imagination, and how do we use that power to solve some of the problems that we have to solve in our world in terms of feeding 10 billion people on the planet. How do we use technology to solve that problem? And I think what is also changing is, because technology is now available to people and customers, they have more power than ever before. And they're no longer interested in bespoke solutions that comes off the shelf. They want unique, one-of-a-kind solutions for themselves. And customers are now becoming the focal point of the problems we're trying to solve. The mantra in the industrial economy was, I've got a product, let's go and find a customer. Now the customer said, I've had enough of products. Please come and solve my individual problem that I have. And that requires a very different thought process. So we're starting to talk about things like, do I empathize with the customer to the extent that I fully understand his problem, and then I go and build a solution for him? And then I need different capabilities. Because if I think about the difference between skills and capabilities, skills is a knowledge or an expertise that I need to achieve a specific work outcome in a specific context. So in other words, if there's a new task to be done, I need new skills, right? And that's the challenge, because now our linear learning processes are very slow and they're very expensive. So as the technology evolves, we're starting to keep up with the skills development. It's not that skills is not important anymore, because we still have to do the job, but we just can't keep up with the technology anymore. So now, from a capability perspective, capability is those human attributes that exist within us, either innately or developed, and we want to apply those innate human capabilities on specific problems that doesn't have a specific context. So if I've got critical thinking as a capability, it doesn't require context. I can apply it to almost any problem So the question is always that we get asked is, can I get taught capabilities? I think some capabilities are innate, so curiosity, imagination, creativity, those tend to be innate in us. But some of them we can develop and we can grow them through experience and stuff like that. And I think those are capabilities like critical thinking, problem solving, interacting with other human beings, emotional intelligence. Those things we can develop and grow. But fundamentally, we have come at a crossroads now because we are very well aware of the skills that we require to do a specific task. It's typically quite tactical in nature. We know very little about the capabilities of our people. If there's a problem to be solved in the middle of the table, who do I invite into the room to come and help me solve for the problem? Now, if I don't know what my people's capabilities is, the chance I'm going to do is I'm going to probably bring everybody into the room. And that is not economical or sensible. So these are the challenges that we face with as we deal with this capability versus skills. I think you do need both. You still need skills because the problem you're solving is contextual. But the better we become at critical thinking and the more creative and imaginative we become, I think the better we will start solving problems, inviting different people into the room for different kinds of problems. And then ultimately what will happen is people will start self-selecting themselves into a specific problem and group. How do we accelerate the skills process? I think the best way to do that again is around specific problems and not trying to do linear learning for something that might be obsolete. And I think that's the challenge that we have with this whole mantra of, now we're going to reskill everybody so they've got a job in the future. Well, as technology evolves, I'm going to just automate those jobs as well. And is that cynical in nature? Or do we do the hard yards and understand the capabilities that's innate in our people? How do we get creativity back in our people that's been wrung out of them through the school system? Because at 6 years old, everybody's creative, and by 18, they're not. So how do we nurture that? So we've got a lot of work to do to understand what capabilities our people have. How do we test for that when we recruit? How do we identify it up front? How do we fill in the holes where there's shortages, or shortage in the terms of you don't have the skill or the capability? How do we bring that in? So a lot of that work is still to be done. It's exciting because for the first time now we actually are focusing on the customer and his or her problem rather than selling them a product because it happens to be available.